Hello, and welcome back to my recap channel. When the minions are turned into monsters, how must Gru find a way to rescue them? We invite you to come and review the movie Despicable Me 2. The movie opens at the secret Arctic base. A super huge magnet suddenly appeared and immediately sucked everything up. The entire secret base was pulled away by it and flew off, leaving everyone bewildered. At this time, the anti-villain organization received information about the attack. Meanwhile, Gru was preparing a gift. A flying bear appeared. It turns out Gru's house was holding a party for his youngest daughter. The minions immediately disguised themselves as soldiers and attacked the dragon piñata. But one of them immediately swung his sword at his teammates, causing the whole group to start fighting again. At this time, Gru received a phone call saying that the fairy princess could not come. So Gru reluctantly transformed into a fairy princess. The minions were the cause. Due to not paying attention, Gru hit the wall face first and fell to the ground. But Gru still had to complete her fairy princess disguise. The children happily started cutting the birthday cake. At this time, a woman came over and she introduced Gru to her single friend. Gru immediately refused, but she still persisted in introducing her younger sister. Gru immediately sprayed water on her face. "If you talk too much, I'll make you go away." The next morning, a beautiful woman came to find him. She immediately introduced herself as Lucy from the Anti-Villain League. Gru suddenly fired an ice gun at Lucy. She immediately fired a flamethrower in response. Lucy immediately pulled out the lipstick taser and made him dance. She pulled him away, but he was too heavy, so she drove back quickly. But as soon as she backed away, she tased him again when he woke up. Finally, Gru was thrown into the trunk of the car. A minion followed and jumped into the trunk, but the remaining minions were dragged behind, piling one on top of another. Finally, they flew in the sky and crashed into a duck. Then they heard the sound of the duck calling. Lucy immediately discovered the two minions. She immediately stopped the car, causing the two minions to fall into the car seats. "By the way, I'll give you two a call to test the signal." Lucy immediately drove her car straight into the sea. The car immediately began to transform into a submarine. They just dove under the sea and almost became a meal for the sharks. Swimming past the sharks, they arrived at a giant submarine. The submarine door opened and Lucy immediately drove the car in. The car was immediately cleaned and dried, then they took it straight to the general manager. At this point, Lucy released Gru from the trunk and he was immediately angry at being brought here. She immediately introduced this as an organization to combat evil people. They have a mission to fight evil around the world. They don't care about petty crimes like robbery, but if someone wants to blast the North Pole or steal the moon, the organization will pay attention and take action. They immediately revealed that a secret base had been attacked and robbed. There, they were researching a medicine called PX41. It can turn a cute bunny into a purple monster like this. Thanks to a talented agent, they discovered traces of PX41. Because he is a former criminal, he thinks and acts like them, so the Anti-Villain League wants to invite him to cooperate. But he immediately refused because he was a father, and because instead of calling him, they kidnapped him. After saying this, he immediately left. Unexpectedly, they only prepared a small boat for him in the middle of the big sea. Lucy immediately gave him her business card if he wanted to cooperate again. In the end, these two minions only achieved destruction. When he got home, his youngest daughter asked him when he was going to meet someone. Gru immediately remembered when he was a child, he secretly loved a girl. But when he came forward and touched the hopscotch grid, the other children immediately ran away in fear because they thought they might catch a disease. Since then, he had been afraid of dating. After putting his children to sleep, he immediately went down to the secret lab where the minions were performing their experiments. But these guys only know how to eat. The minions are making fruit jelly both manually and mechanically. A minion accidentally fell into a tub of fruit juice and ended up stuffed into a cup like this. Gru immediately tasted the fruit jelly, and it almost made him faint. "Now let me give the minions a taste. Try something delicious. Try it." It was so bad that all the minions were running away. So he immediately comforted Dr. Nefario. But the doctor immediately became sad and said that he remembered the old days. Those large-scale crimes were his way of life. Dr. Nefario immediately said that he was offered to work elsewhere, on larger crimes. Having said that, his luggage was also fully prepared. Gru immediately ordered the minions to see Dr. Nefario off. The minions immediately advanced and fired 21 bullets as a salute, but he could smell something burning. Gru then walked and looked at Lucy's card. At this time, a minion maid was cleaning, when suddenly the doorbell rang. The minion maid immediately opened the door and was suddenly stolen away without anyone noticing. The next morning, the daughters were creating profiles so Gru could make an appointment online. But he immediately refused and said that he already had a job to become a special agent to save the world. So Gru and the minions immediately headed to the shopping mall. Here, he and Lucy accidentally met each other again. Lucy was startled and hit the cake all over Gru's face. As soon as she saw the minions, Lucy decided to give him a few punches. Seeing the beautiful Lucy, a minion dreamed of having a beautiful love affair with her. Then Gru and Lucy used binoculars to observe unusual spots here. Suddenly, a customer came in and wanted to order 200 cakes. Gru immediately recognized him as the once famous villain El Macho. In the past, he could rob money trucks alone. Even more surprising, he was said to have ridden a shark into a volcano. People thought he was dead, but they didn't expect him to be alive here. He suspected he was El Macho, so Lucy suggested that the two of them break into his restaurant. During the night, Lucy and Gru broke into his shop. Lucy immediately sniffed carefully and discovered a laser security system, but they did not expect that he had prepared a very simple cake. Suddenly, a chicken came out. It immediately flew straight into Gru and attacked. Lucy immediately jumped in to rescue him, but the chicken immediately dodged all of her moves. In the end, Lucy had to use a net gun to stop it. They searched for a while before finding a suspicious bottle. When they opened it, they realized it was just wall cleaner. Suddenly, the large man returned and immediately vowed to give the intruder a beating. Lucy and Gru were tasting chili sauce when they heard a noise. El Macho immediately fired a laser that cut a hole in the ceiling, and the two ran away before he entered. While running, he called the minions to quickly drive to pick him up. The minions heard that and immediately drove their car into the door of the shopping mall, so they ran past Lucy and Gru without stopping. The large man immediately ran and almost caught the two people when two minions drove the car and hit him, rolling him a few times. So the four people successfully escaped in Lucy's flying car. The next morning, an ice cream truck parked near Gru's house. The minions were about to buy ice cream when suddenly the giant ice cream scoop sucked everything inside. Meanwhile, at the shopping mall, Lucy and Gru were still focused on finding information. Suddenly, his three little girls appeared here. Gru immediately introduced the three children to Miss Lucy and then sent them away to play. The three of them were playing when the oldest sister suddenly saw a cool guy who was exactly her type. She was so absorbed in looking at him that she suddenly fell, and luckily he suddenly ran to catch her. So the two of them immediately asked each other out. The two younger siblings immediately went to Gru. Hearing that, he panicked and went to find his eldest daughter. Suddenly, the two kids went out to play at the large man's store, and the boy is El Macho's son. When he saw Gru, he immediately seemed happy and offered a marriage proposal for the two children. But Gru immediately objected. He protested that it was his fault, so the boy quickly took the girl away. Lucy and Gru then immediately returned to the base. He immediately told the general manager to arrest the father and son of that family, but the general manager objected and Gru immediately left angrily. Meanwhile, after the minions woke up, they saw a beautiful beach. They immediately rejoiced and had fun, but they did not expect that it was just a large room to hold them. Meanwhile, at Gru's house, the talkative neighbor immediately brought her friend to meet him, but Gru immediately sent his daughters out to chase them away. But the neighbor didn't understand what was going on and invited them in. In the end, Gru reluctantly had to go on a date with her. At the restaurant, Lucy was also there. When the blonde woman became angry, Lucy immediately helped Mr. Gru to silence her. Finally, the two of them returned with the blonde woman in the car. When he got home, he and Lucy immediately had a chat. Lucy then kissed Gru on the cheek and promised to see him again. From then on, in the sunny summertime, his life became completely changed. He walked and jumped for joy thinking of Lucy, but when he got there, he met the general manager. The general manager immediately announced that they had captured a criminal. Because the case had been solved, Lucy would be transferred to Australia for work. So Gru and Lucy had a farewell talk. Lucy immediately gave him the lipstick taser from before as a souvenir, so the two of them were sad, and she said goodbye. Gru became gloomy and went home. Returning home, Gru was determined to call Lucy to confess his love, but the phone was destroyed. Meanwhile, at the minion holding area, Kevin was eating a banana when he was taken down to an experimental room. Suddenly, a robot injected a dose of medicine into a minion's body. Suddenly, he turned into a purple monster. When Kevin saw it, he laughed loudly, and suddenly he was also injected with the medicine. Gru and the three children then went to El Macho's party. So Father Gru gave rules to his three daughters. The youngest daughter shouldn't eat too much candy. The second daughter is not allowed to kill anyone. The older girl must stay 2 meters away from boys. But suddenly, the boy came to see his eldest sister. So Gru and the boy started a sneak attack. Gru then sadly looked at Lucy's lipstick. El Macho then come to comfort him. Suddenly, El Macho showed suspicious signs, causing Gru to follow him. The large man immediately went into a secret room and then got on an elevator. Gru immediately ran after him. As soon as he entered the room, he almost melted. So after many times of jumping in,
the wrong position, from being burned to being shot at, he finally got down the elevator. Meanwhile, Lucy was sad as she sat on the plane. She immediately mistakenly saw the image of Gru. Even the flight attendant reminded Lucy of Gru. Everything in her eyes was now filled with only the image of Mr. Gru. So she immediately chose Gru, ran to the plane door, said goodbye to everyone, and jumped out with a jetpack. Meanwhile, Gru came to a large room and suddenly saw that giant magnet. Suddenly, El Macho appeared. Both were surprised to have discovered each other. Suddenly, Dr. Nefario appeared. He immediately showed Gru his results. Minion Kevin had become a true and invulnerable monster. It could resist bullets and even flamethrowers. More surprisingly, all the captured minions had become like that. El Macho would soon release them and destroy anyone who stopped him. Having finished speaking, he immediately called on Gru to join his team. Together, they would rule the world. Gru immediately pretended to say he would participate, but before that, he had other things to do, and then deliberately slipped away. So El Macho immediately released Kevin so he could chase and attack him. As soon as he ran outside, Gru immediately tried to pull his 3 daughters away. But the eldest daughter, Margot, was upset because the other boy danced with another girl, so she gave him the cold shoulder. As soon as they escaped, Lucy flew in. Lucy immediately wanted to find Gru, but the large man immediately discovered that she worked for the Anti-Villain League. Then he forced Lucy to follow him. Dr. Nefario saw Lucy being taken away and immediately informed Gru. So Gru and the 2 minions set out to rescue Lucy. Meanwhile, Monster Kevin had returned to Gru's home. It immediately chased after the 3 little girls. Luckily, they escaped to the cellar, but Monster Kevin still chased after them. Unexpectedly, Dr. Nefario came back and gave Kevin an injection of the antidote. He immediately created many antidotes from fruit jelly. Meanwhile, Gru and 2 minions disguised themselves to break into El Macho's mansion. Everywhere were hordes of monster minions. Suddenly, a minion revealed his identity, causing the whole crowd to chase and scatter. They immediately climbed onto the roof and tried to fight off the monster minions. Suddenly, the flying A-ship appeared and fired jelly bullets, causing all the minions to return to their original state. Dr. Nefario did this because he didn't want anyone to harm his family. Finally, they started shooting the antidote at the remaining minions. El Macho immediately discovered Gru and immediately took out a fruit jelly gun to kill the monster minions one by one. At this time, El Macho immediately took Lucy onto a rocket with a great white shark. He immediately threatened to press the switch and the rocket would fly straight into the volcano. Suddenly, Kevin grabbed the control button, but immediately dropped it to the ground. So El Macho immediately drank the drug PX41 to turn into a monster. Gru immediately took the gun and shot, but it was out of bullets. He immediately shot the ice gun at his arms, but he still attacked. El Macho immediately picked up a heavy object and threw it at him. Luckily, Gru was able to dodge it, pulled out the lipstick taser, and electrocuted him. So the minions immediately started counting him out. Dr. Nefario immediately shot the taser, causing him to faint. Gru immediately ran to untie Lucy, but El Macho immediately stepped forward and pressed the button, causing the rocket to launch and fly away. Finally, in a precarious situation, Gru confessed his love to Lucy. So Lucy immediately agreed, and the 2 of them jumped off before the rocket hit the volcano. In the end, they all survived. Lucy and Gru then held a wedding ceremony and gave each other a kiss. So the minions immediately performed a congratulatory song. This is the end of the review for Despicable Me 2. If you see these minions, even though they turn into monsters, they will still be stunned by grilled cheese. Remember to leave a comment below. If you like this movie, please leave a like and a comment. Now goodbye and see you again in the next recaps.